Welcome to a course on operating systems. Last class, we have seen what is a deadlock and what are the characteristics for a deadlock, how the deadlock state represented in the system. That means RAZ graph. So in this session, we are going to study what are the deadlock handling methods, and one of the deadlock handling method, deadlock prevention. You know what is a deadlock very well. I hope you all understood what is a deadlock, a set of processes waiting for, a set of blocked processes waiting for resources. Those resources are already held by the processes which are in that set. Those processes are in deadlock. I have given so many examples to understand deadlock. So deadlock is a halting state, or deadlock is a negative symptom in the operating system, and I have explained that deadlock may occur once in a year or once in 5 years, or sometimes it may occur once in 10 years. There is no guarantee that the deadlock will occur in every operating system. So here in this session, we will see what are the different deadlock handling methods. Here in this session, we will study the methods for handling deadlocks, the methods for handling deadlock, the methods for handling deadlock, and what is the deadlock prevention and how to prevent the deadlock. How to prevent the deadlock we will study. And outcomes of this session, the outcomes of this session are the importance of handling deadlock, why the deadlock need to be handled, and various deadlock handling methods. What are the various deadlock handling methods and how to prevent the deadlock, how to prevent the deadlock. And coming to the methods for deadlock handling, so there are three kinds of deadlock handling methods. The first method is ensure that the system never enter into deadlock state. Ensure that the system never enter into deadlock state. What is that first one? Ensure that the system never enter into deadlock state. If you want to ensure it, so there are two managements or two ways. One is prevention. One is prevention, and another one is avoidance. Avoidance. Another one is avoidance. Prevention and avoidance. So this is the two managements or two ways to ensure the system will never enter into deadlock state. And coming to the second method, allow the system to potentially enter a deadlock state. Potentially enter into deadlock state. Allow the system to potentially enter into the deadlock state. Allow the system to enter into deadlock state. We are not going to prevent and we are not going to avoid it. Let it come the deadlock. Let it come the deadlock. Once the deadlock is detected or once the deadlock is occurred in the system, detect it and then recover. Detect it and then recover. Detect whether the deadlock is occurred in the system or not. After that, you can recover from that deadlock. That is the third way. Second way. And coming to the third way is ignore the problem and pretended that deadlock never occur in the system. Ignore it. So deadlock is not at all a big issue in the operating system. Why? Because we are telling that the deadlock will occur yearly once, or sometimes the deadlock will occur once in 5 years. So here what we have to do is ignore the deadlock. Most of the general purpose operating systems are following this type of method handling method to handle the deadlock. What is that? The best way to handle the deadlock is ignore the problem and pretended that deadlock never occur in the system. This is the best way to handle the deadlock. Finally, here what we are trying to do, what we are trying to say that from this deadlock handling methods, there are three kinds of deadlock handling methods. One is ensure that the system never enter into deadlock state. Deadlock state, simply with the help of prevention and avoidance, you can ensure that the system never enter into deadlock. And second method is let enter the system into deadlock. After that, detect it and recover the system from the deadlock. And third method is to ignore the deadlock. Reason is deadlock never occur in the system. Most of the popular operating systems like Windows, Unix, Linux operating systems are using this third deadlock handling method. Third deadlock handling method. And what is prevention? What is prevention? Okay, design a system in such a way that deadlock can never occur. Design a system in such a way that the deadlock never occurs. Simply, we are preventing the system from the deadlock. And second one is avoidance. Second one is avoidance. Impose less stringent conditions. You impose some conditions in the system. This is the very important topic in this unit. What is that? Here, deadlock avoidance is very important. Here we will study more time only on this deadlock avoidance. What we are going to study from this topic is, we will study here Banker's algorithm. Banker's algorithm. Here we will study, so under the deadlock avoidance, impose a less stringent conditions than for prevention, allow the possibility of deadlock, but sidestepping it and it occurs. We have to take the some precautionary conditions. Precautionary conditions, these are sidestepping in the sense of precautionary conditions or strategies to avoid the deadlock. We will see how to avoid the deadlock in the coming classes. Next, the third one is detection. Detection, allow a possibility of deadlock, determine if the deadlock has occurred, and then finally you can recover from the system. So what is that? A recovery. After detection, clear the problem and allow the processes to complete and resources to be reused. Resource to be reused may involve the destroying and restarting processes. Destroying and restarting processes. We will see in detail what is the recovery. So finally, what we are trying to do is, here from this unit, we will study the first important topic is prevention, and prevention means it is we are trying to avoid the conditions. Next one is avoidance. We are not taking that much stringent conditions like prevention, and we are taking a less possibility of deadlock, and we are taking some sidestepping concepts. And next one is detection, allow the possibility of deadlock, and you find whether deadlock is occurred or not using some strategies. And fourth one is recovery. After detection, clear the deadlock from the system by restarting the processes or preempting the resources from the processes. With the help of those two strategies, you can recover the system from the deadlock. These are the deadlock handling management and a deadlock handling methods. And coming to the deadlock prevention. So what is the deadlock prevention here is, so if any one of the conditions of deadlock, so necessary conditions of deadlock is denied or disabled, any one condition of the deadlock, definitely we can prevent the deadlock. So let us see what are the different protocols, rules and conditions available to put on the system or keep on the system, so to eliminate the deadlock. Here the conditions and rules we are going to impose in the operating system. So when we impose these conditions and protocols in the operating system under these 4 conditions, definitely we can prevent the deadlock. So here the conditions for this is we are going to deny the conditions. What are the conditions we are going to deny? The conditions of a deadlock. All conditions we are going to deny. Probably, if possible, you can deny all conditions. You can deny all conditions, or any one condition is also sufficient to prevent the deadlock. Sufficient to prevent the deadlock. So the first one is mutual exclusion. What is mutual exclusion? You know, it is impossible to disable mutual exclusion. Why? Because non-shareable resources like a printer is not at all a non-shareable, it is not at all a shareable resource. Printer is always a non-shareable resource. We cannot eliminate a mutual condition for the non-shareable resources like printer. But we can eliminate the mutual condition for shareable resources. Shareable resource means, for example, read-only file. If the file is read-only, you can allow multiple processes to read the file at a time. Those are shareable resources. The best example for non-shareable resource is printer. Printer cannot be. Suppose if it is a writable file, the writable file is, if the file is opened in write mode, that is also non-shareable resource. For non-shareable resource, mutual exclusion is compulsory. So for shareable resources, mutual exclusion is not at all required. But anyway, so when you want to deny the mutual exclusion, the full denial of mutual exclusion is not possible. If you are eliminating the mutual exclusion from the operating system, that deny of mutual exclusion may create a lot of problems. We cannot provide the process synchronization. If there is no process synchronization for non-shareable resources, definitely it leads to race condition or data inconsistency. So therefore, finally what we can say here mutual exclusion disable is not possible. Practically, it is not possible. You can't deny this for non-shareable resources. This is a very, very important point. We are trying to disable this condition, but this condition we cannot disable. Why? Because for non-shareable resources, already I have given example for non-shareable resource. What is the example for non-shareable resources? Printer is the non-shareable resource. Can you give any example for non-shareable resource? Yeah, so Mutex. Yes, Mutex lock is a non-shareable resource. Can you give any other example with your knowledge? Yes, here semaphore is also non-shareable resource. Can you give any other example? Yes, okay, if it is write mode file. If the file is opened in write mode file. Printer is one non-shareable resource. Mutex is a non-shareable resource. Semaphore is also a non-shareable resource. Write mode file. These are the non-shareable resources in the system. You can't eliminate these resources from the system. But what is the example for shareable resource? So example for shareable resource is read-only file. Okay, read-only file is the shareable resource. Read-only file is a shareable resource. So finally what we are saying that, we say that mutual exclusion elimination, or we can't deny the mutual exclusion condition in the real time. So next, coming to the second condition, hold and wait. Here hold and wait is a condition. If you want to disable this hold and wait condition in the system, you can follow two rules, two protocols you can follow. The first protocol is, if any process want to continue its execution, that process must acquire all required resources to first and then continue its execution. If any process want to begin the execution, that process must acquire the all resources first, then continue the execution. After completion of the execution, the process will release all the resources. This is the first protocol or first way to eliminate the hold and wait condition. And the second alternative protocol is, if the process want to request any other resource, that process must release the resources already allocated. If the process released already allocated resources, then only other resources will be allocated to that process. We have two protocols, we have two rules, two conditions to eliminate the hold and wait. What is the first protocol? If any process want to continue its execution, want to begin its execution, that process must acquire all the resources, the process which required to complete its execution. And second one is, if any process requesting a new resource, that process must release the resources. These are the two conditions. And let me illustrate with one example. A process which want to copy the data from the tape drive to disk file. After that, it will sort the file, then print the information through printer. This is the execution process of a process, execution steps of a process. In this illustration, what the process will do in the first protocol, in the first rule, in the first protocol, the process acquire all the resources. What are the resources here? Tape drive and disk file, printer. Then it will perform all the operations, means it will use those resources and completes the execution. And so the second rule or a second protocol is, in the second protocol, the process first acquire the tape drive and disk file, then it will copy the data from the tape drive to disk file, then releases the two resources. What are the two resources it is going to release? It will release the disk tape and tape drive and disk file. After that, it requests the disk file and printer. Once those two resources are allocated, then the process will perform the sort operation in the file and send the results to the printer. These are the two alternatives. But in both cases, what is the main disadvantage? In both cases, the main disadvantage is, what are the disadvantages for both cases? In both examples, the disadvantage is low resource allocation is the first disadvantage. What is the disadvantage? Low resource utilization. Low resource utilization. There is a resource utilization is very, very low. Resource utilization is very, very low. How can you say the resource utilization is very, very low in the first protocol, in the first rule, in the first condition? How can you say the resource utilization is very low? The reason is here, the process is acquiring all the resources at a time, but it is not utilizing. And in the real time also, whenever we are going to implement this, in real time also, it is not possible. What are the resources required for process before starting the execution? Before starting the execution, it is very difficult to know what are the resources required. That is very difficult. And next one, what is the second one? What is in the second protocol? So means, what is the second disadvantage in both protocols? In the second disadvantage in the both protocols, the second disadvantage is starvation is possible. Can you say starvation is possible? Means if there is a busy resource like CPU registers or CPU or processor, that processor is always busy among the processes. When that process is always busy among the processes, so here that all the processes are waiting for that resource, so that the processes which are waiting for that resource are in starvation. So these two protocols may leads to two disadvantages. One is is low resource utilization, another one is starvation. These are the two possibilities of hold and wait. Finally, what we can say? Finally, we can say simply hold and wait is not possible to implement. We cannot implement hold and wait. We cannot implement hold and wait. It is not feasible to implement. And next one, coming to the third condition, no preemption. In no preemption, if a process that is holding some resources request another resource that cannot be immediately allocated to it. So in this rule, what is the rule here? We are trying to we are trying to disable the no preemption. When we are trying to disable the no preemption condition, here what is the rule here is, when the process is requesting the resource, the process must release all the resources already allocated. All the resources already allocated, and we allocate means the system will assign those allocated, those released resources to the list of required resources of that process. Once the available means the allocated resource, the requested resources are all available, then only the system will allocate those resources to that process. Here, what is the condition? The condition is, if the process is requesting a new resource, if that resource is already available, then that resource will be allocated. If that resource is already allocated to some other process, it will preempt that resource from that waiting process and allocated to requested process. Because this is the condition. Whatever the resource we are preempted, that process will be rolled back to the previous state. This is every time we are rollbacking some processes, otherwise we are preempting those resources from the process and assigning those preempted resources as a requesting resources to that process. It is a difficult process. It is impossible to implement in the system. Finally, so here it is not possible to implement. Finally, we can say no preemption is also not possible to implement. So if a process that is holding some resources, so some resource request, another resource that cannot be immediately allocated to it, the process releases the resources currently being held, currently being used or currently being held. So this is the condition. This condition is not possible in real time. And preempted resources can add it to the list of resources for which the process is waiting. So all preempted resources again added to list of resources for which the process is waiting. Means again we are rollbacking to the previous state. Every time we are rollbacking to the previous state is difficult. The process will be restarted only when it can regain the old resources as well as the new one. These are the rules we are following when we are trying to disable the no preemption condition. But in real time, so we cannot implement all these conditions. Coming to the circular wait. Here, when we are going to disable this circular wait, so here what we are trying to do is, so assign the numeric numbers to all the resources to the system, all the resources in the system. So simply what we are trying to do is impose a total ordering of all resource types and require that each process requests the resources in increasing order of enumeration. How it is possible? Here first assign the unique numeric number, unique integers, unique numbers to all the resources. If you assigned a numeric numbers to all the resources, if any process requesting a new resource, that resource number must be greater than the resources already held by that process, already held by that process. So means every process must request a new resource. That resource should be greater than the resource which is already existed with it, or already used, already allocated to it, If you follow this condition, definitely we can break the circular weight condition in the system. So this is implementation. It is possible to implement. In system, we can able to implement this way. Let me give one example. In this example, I hope you can understand. Here, so the same example I am going to take. Suppose there are two processes, P1, P2, and two resources, R1, R2. Here, R1 is already allocated to P1, R2 is already allocated to P2. Now, here, suppose the P1, when the P1 requesting R2, so P1 can request R2. Why? Because R2 means here 2. What is the numeric value of this resource? 2. This 2 is greater than R1. So that P1 can request R2, but P2 cannot request R1. P2 cannot request R1. Why? Here, what are the resources allocated to P2? The resources allocated to P2 is R2, but what is the requested resource for P2? The requested resource of P2 is R1. So here R1 is less than R2, so that P2 should not ask or should not request a resource less than R2. So the P2 can request R3, means greater than 2. It can request R2, and it can request greater than that. It can request, so greater than that. It can request greater than it. Similarly, P1 cannot request R0. P1 cannot request R0. So cannot request R0. So next one, P2 cannot request R0. P2 cannot request R0. If what are the resources are allocated to that process, the requested resources must be greater than the allocated resources. If you use this condition, definitely here we can break the cycle in the graph. So once you break the cycle, there is no cycle in the RAC graph, there is no chain of processes. If so, once we break this one, P2 is not waiting for P1. P2 is not waiting for P1. Okay, P1 is waiting for only P2, and P2 is not waiting for P1. Therefore, there is no deadlock. This is the condition we are following in the circular weight and to eliminate. Finally, so what we here, mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion is simply, here approach is spooling. Spooling means what we are trying to do is, so here if there is we allocate a buffer for the printer, so for that buffer you allocate a process. That process will take care about how the request made by the processes. But spooling is not possible. Here. So in a system, it is not possible to eliminate non-shareable resources. So this is not possible to implement. Hold and wait. Request for all resources initially. So it is impossible. So no process will know what are the resources required for it. And next one is no preemption. Snatch all the resources. Take the resources and again assign those resources to the list of resources of a process and roll back. This is also not possible. Next, finally, fourth one is circular weight. Okay, assign the priority to each resource. Priority in the sense, okay, here we say a number. What is that? Priority means a number to each resource and order the resource numerically. This is only possible. If any one condition is disabled, we can eliminate the deadlock. We can prevent the deadlock. We can prevent the deadlock. Three things are not possible, but only circular wait is possible. This is actually preemption. This is a preemption. Okay, here. Now, so far what we studied what are the different deadlock handling methods. Okay, three kinds of deadlock handling methods. First one is ensure that the system never enter into the deadlock, and second one is the second handling method is, so deadlock is allowed into the system. Once the deadlock is allowed into the system, detect it and recover from the deadlock. And third one is ignore the deadlock. Deadlock is not at all a big issue, or it is not a problem in the operating system. These are the three conditions. Okay, we have three handling methods. Okay, we have seen. And next one is deadlock prevention. So how to prevent the deadlock? If any one necessary condition is denied, then we can prevent the deadlock. But finally, we said that deadlock, if you want to prevent the deadlock, first condition is not possible. Second condition is also not possible, that is hold and wait. Third is also no preemption is also not possible, but we can implement the circular wait by allocating the numerical values and enumeration for the resources. If you allocate the resources in the order of enumeration to the processes, definitely we can disable the circular wait, so we can prevent the deadlock. But prevention is a very difficult than other handling methods. So now let me check whether you understood all the issues regarding deadlock handling and deadlock prevention. The first question is the number of resources requested by a process. Here, what is the answer for this? So, must always be less than the total number of resources available in the system. Must always be equal to the total number of resources available in the system. Second one is must always be equal to that available systems. Next, the request and release of resources are. The request of release resources, here, what is that? Answer is system calls. The request and release of resources are system calls. And next one is what are the multi-threaded programs? Here, multi-threaded programs are more prone to deadlocks. Next, for a deadlock to arise, which of the following conditions must hold simultaneously? For a deadlock to arise, which of the following conditions must hold simultaneously? Answer is all of the mentioned. And fourth question is for mutual exclusion to prevail in the system, what is here? So answer is A. At least one resource must be held in non-shareable mode. Non-shareable mode. If you are keeping any one process in the non-shareable mode, so here we have to give to the for the shared resources also, so that it is not possible to eliminate. Deadlock prevention is a set of methods to ensure that at least one of the necessary condition cannot hold. Answer is A. A is a correct answer. And for non-shareable resources like a printer, mutual exclusion is must exist. For printer, we cannot eliminate the mutual exclusion. For shareable resources, mutual exclusion is not at all required. And coming to ninth question, one way to ensure that the circular wait condition never holds is to impose a total ordering of all resource types and determines which one precedes another in the ordering. So answer A is correct. So here in this session, we learned deadlock handling methods, deadlock prevention, differentiate non-shareable and shareable resources. This is also a very important point you have to study. What is that? Non-shareable and shareable resources. Okay, we talked more on this one. Most of the times in examinations, they will ask you the questions on non-shareable and shareable resources. Okay, this is the very. Thank you for watching this lesson.